all I can think about right now.
I know, it's fantastic.
Mhm.
Prelude to the Tude. You know what I'm saying? Anyway,
Oh my goodness.
all right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into it. We are wrapping up the AFC conference, the American Football Conference, if you didn't know what it stood for, with the AFC East. That means we're talking Pats, Bills, Jets, and Dolphins today. A lot of fantasy intrigue in this division. One team with none of it, another team with kind of a widespread of variance to me. And I think you got an interesting debate on who's going to win it this year. It's kind of going to be a three-legged race, like we thought last year. I think one team is a clear favorite. I'm interested to hear what you two think about who's going to win this division this year.
Clear favorite?
I do. I think there's a clear favorite to me. It all depends on one man's health. If you need
it does.
yeah,
it really does. Also,
Yeah.
I just can't believe in a team that loses so much to be a clear favorite to anything.
But
even if they're like right in the middle of that 3-dog race, like you say, I can't say, oh yeah, them, and then we'll see, because they just lose so much.
I mean, we're talking about the Jets, right? I mean,
we're talking about the Jets.
To get rid of this air of ambiguity.
As much as we like Robert Salah, like he's a fucking loser.
He hasn't found a way to get it done, but hasn't had much help from the quarterbacks on his team, which you need a quarterback to win in the NFL,
especially if you're a defensive coach.
Unless you're Mike Tomlin, apparently, you don't. So he always finds a way to get to the playoffs. Was in the playoffs last year, 10-7, with fucking Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph. So I think he knows a thing or two about winning ball.
I think we need to stop counting playoff appearances by like the last two teams in the playoffs. When everyone's like, "Yeah, that'll be cool to bump them out." And
you
get
shouldn't expect Patrick to not talk about that. He brags about second place more than anybody.
Yeah, dude, I'm that guy.
So what's 6th or 7th? You know what I mean?
That fucking guy. You know who I am.
I mean, he could finally brag about second. You know what I'm saying? Jesus.
Whatever. Anyway, moving on.
How do you guys? What are you guys' thoughts on Aaron Rodgers not playing or not showing up to training camp?
A man like that shouldn't be in training camp. He's following right in Brett Favre's footsteps. I think finding excuses for that is kind of weird and small, but like they won't allow you to be like, I'm Aaron Rodgers and I don't need to be in training camp. Get the fuck out of here. They don't let you do that. So like he makes an excuse.
4-time MVP, Super Bowl winner, one of the best quarterbacks to ever do it. Doesn't need to be getting extra reps and risking his Achilles at training camp.
That's true. What I mean? Anybody that wants to argue against that, just think about the heartbreak the Jets fans went through that first game. Like, give a man a couple extra days.
It's true. And then when they want to argue about like his like dedication and stuff, I'm like, look, sometimes talent supersedes prep, and he's an example of that. So I just don't care.
I'm a big fan of that guy. Trust me, he wants to win a title in New York. He does. Okay.
Like, any talk of like, oh, he doesn't want it. I'm like, then he would be on a fucking beach, dog. Like 400-pound men are going to try to smash him for the next 6 months, and I do mean that in the most homoerotic way possible.
Including the media that's got.
And he's going to sign up for it anyway. Like
the only reason we heard about that story is because he's in New York. He's in Green Bay still. We don't hear shit about him not being in training camp. He's in the.
We might if it's attached to the fact that he's doing it to do drugs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which is also fine. Like, go do your drugs, homie.
Sure, but like, I still think we're hearing about it from some closed-minded people that want to make it a thing.
By all counts, made him a better teammate.
With the winter-dressed man.
By all count, made him a better teammate.
So is Aaron Rodgers fantasy relevant though?
No, only against a bad matchup, and you think they're playing a team that can score on their defense, which I don't think is going to be many this year because arguably they got the best defense in the league. They definitely have one of the best defensive lines. It
does feel like there's only 3 or 4 weeks in this upcoming year where Aaron Rodgers' fantasy numbers will be like, oh shit, you see what Aaron Rodgers did?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see a lot of 250. 250 for 2 is going to be a good week for Aaron Rodgers this year.
Yep.
You know what I mean? 18 points. You felt like you got a good week out of him. Doesn't run the ball, and you're going to see a lot of Breece Hall running out clocks at the end of the game and 21-17 victories for the Jets. Like, that's what you're going to see. They're not going to score a lot of points. They're not going to need to score a lot of points because they're not going to give up many points on the other side of the ball. So, I mean, to me, the Jets, with what they did with their roster and adding 2 stalwart tackles to anchor that line, and then you still have, by PFF standards, one of the best guards, Elijah Vera Tucker. I know he was laughable for my Packers dynasty in Madden, never showed up. But in real life, he is a very highly graded pass blocker as a guard. And you have Morgan Moses and forgetting the other guy they brought in to you guys, Tyron Smith on the other side of the line. So, if those boys stay healthy, those are 2 of the best tackles over the last 10 years in the NFL. So clear improvement on the offensive line.
I'm interested to see how much time Tyron Smith misses, and not because I want him to miss time. He's amazing. He's a Hall of Famer. However,
how healthy is he?
He missed
for 5 years now. It seems like he misses
6 games,
half the seasons.
He's the Bakhtiari of the Cowboys.
I mean, and I don't think a $1 billion business's training facility could be bad. I don't believe that. Because how dare you? How could you think that? But because I am human and I suffer certain skepticisms, if that son of a bitch plays every game this year,
no joke.
I'm gonna think some things.
Joke, dude.
I'm paying attention. My instinct tells me, like, yeah, he's gonna miss about a month's worth of playing, and no one's gonna be mad about that because that's what he can do. If he plays every fucking game this year.
And also, do not be surprised if David Bakhtiari shows up if one of those 2 gets hurt right out of.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen because he loves Aaron Rodgers.
You can only play so much. I'm like, what if we just got both of those guys, just so that you just plug and play when the other one's hurt?
Yeah, every other week.
If you think about it as math, it's not bad. Just how do you afford it?
I feel like Bakhtiari would come play with Rodgers for the chance at another title for less money because they're good friends. Like they hang out every offseason. They're part of a band together. Like they're bros.
For being so unlikable, it does seem like Aaron Rodgers has bros in a league full of very angry men.
He's got bros.
He does.
And the only one that he really had a dispute with when he was in Green Bay, there was 2 guys. There was Ty Montgomery because he dropped a kickoff and fumbled away a chance at a meaningful win and was gone the next week, single-handedly because of Aaron Rodgers. And then,
it does seem like every time that there's someone that has a problem with him, they got a reason.
Greg Jennings was the biggest one. Him and Greg Jennings did not get along. He said many times that Rodgers was a diva at that point in his career. But you look at his later career, Randall Cobb and Devontae Adams got along just fine with that guy. So I think he changed over his career.
He's just one of those strong personalities. You're either going to gel with him or you're not. He's not going to change his ways to appease you.
And why should he?
Yeah. I mean, he is one to kind of call out some of his teammates in the media, so I can see the diva route. He does seem like a little bit of a princess, but if you perform, nobody cares.
I got that vibe from him much more when he was younger than he is now.
He does seem like results are the only thing, not the only thing that matters. But like, yeah, if you produce, you just does, you swipe it under the rug because that's what the league's about, right? Like it's championships or nothing. Don't get weird when someone else is openly acting like that.
I'd rather not like my quarterback that won me a Super Bowl than to really be crazy about one that never could.
Exactly, 100%.
The older I get, the more of a fan I get of Tom Brady as a person, and not because I've ever met the man, but you just hear him and I know there's especially when he was playing when I was younger, it's like, oh, I hate him because he's not on my team. You know what I mean? Because he keeps winning against what I'm rooting for.
Yeah.
And then you bitch that he cries, you bitch that he whines, you bitch that or like when he's angry at a coordinator, you're like, oh, look, he looks like a terrible person. I'm like, he looks like exactly the quarterback that I want. That's what he looks like. He looks like he's going to hold people accountable with rage, and that you're going to do things for him.
He looks like he could direct a room of men.
Yeah.
And took less money his entire career, too, to win all those championships. Did not get paid, But anyway. I mean, he's great. He's the greatest until.
And we get half a team into a 4-team fantasy look, and we get Aaron Rodgers. We're 30 minutes in.
That's fine. We can highlight one player from each team because he's the biggest guy. We already said it's going to depend all on one guy for
You're
that
right.
team.
You're right.
Well,
What's his fantasy value? What's his fantasy value?
His
ADP is QB 20.
Yeah, he's the
Sweet.
20th. So, backup quarterback, if you want one, could be a dependable one that you could depend on for a solid baseline. But I think that baseline is low. I think he's high floor, low ceiling. That's the type of quarterback he is this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's got a narrow window of possibilities.
I don't even know that his floor is that high. I agree about his ceiling being low, but his floor could be 4-6 points some of these weeks. I could see him coming out and having a stinker. He is getting older.
Really?
Six
points
though is like 50 yards and a touchdown, man. Like he's got a baseline of at least 8. He's got 8 to 10 points a week, no matter what.
I would agree with that. I think his floor is higher than 4 to 6. It's like 10. And 10's not good enough for a quarterback in our league, so it's still irrelevant.
On my team.
Yeah.
But 10's better than rolling Justin Fields out there and getting 4 points. You know what I mean? Because the Steelers ran the ball the whole game and Justin Fields can't complete a pass. So
or gets pulled halfway through it for Russell Wilson.
Exactly. or like a Will Levis who goes 7 for 25, because he could do that. You know what I'm saying? But anyway,
those are Tim Tebow numbers. I want the world to be aware of.
Yeah, very bad. Totally possible for a guy like Will Levis. But anyway, should we talk about the Jets? And we start going through this because I think the Jets, because of their defense, to me, are defense and because of their offensive capabilities, they don't have everybody else in the division lost offensive firepower, right? To me. Other than the Dolphins, the Dolphins kind of stayed flat. They added Jalen Wright, but they lost so much on defense. I don't think
but offensively, they didn't lose a thing, and they're probably the nastiest offense in this. They're definitely the nastiest offense in this division. So,
I don't think they can stop the Jets under Aaron Rodgers, though, and I don't think they can score as prolifically on the Jets, is what I think. Although I think Tyreek Hill smoked them last year, so who knows?
When you don't have the hope of being able to win a game, how can your defense stop Tyreek Hill? You guys ain't going to score more than 9 points, and those are all field goals.
Yeah, that's tough to summon the Eagle for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. But anyhow, if we're talking about the Jets, we already kind of touched on what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. Breece Hall is
he's the number one.
He's the most exciting, absolutely. Rodgers may mean more, but Breece Hall is the electrifying one. That's going to go, first 7 in the draft, you think?
He's RB4.
Top 4 running back?
RB3.
Yep.
Yeah. Behind Bijan and CMC.
Where he ought to be. God, just one Achilles away from being RB19 again.
The Breece Lightning, dude. And he came out on Twitter today, by the way, saying, I will be an RB1 this year. I will be an all-star. And it's going to be that way for many years to come. So get ready.
I want him on my team. Team.
Yeah,
he's a big value.
ADP and a half PPR of overall 5. He's the number 5 pick off the board. RB2.
So I've seen him in drafts go as late as the 9 spot. Okay. But in our league, we always go running back heavy. I don't think it's going to happen. Everybody, a lot of the things have gone towards fantasy, in the general public and in
that Jets tag is going to scare a couple people, and so I honestly think overall 9 in our draft is not crazy to see him. I think he'll be a little later back because everything with the Jets tag is going to go a little later back.
You're probably right, but do you remember those? He had those first 2 games on the scene when he came on last year, and it was I think 2 of them in one game, and it was like an 80-yard run and a 50-yard either catch and run or another run, whatever it was. 2 touches, 2 monster plays. He got 18 fantasy points that week off of essentially 2 plays.
Mm-hmm. I don't think he's as good of a natural running back as Bijan Robinson is, because I think Bijan he's it, man. He's it for the next generation running backs, but he's close. Breece is close to being that good. His contact balance, the way he shrugs off tacklers, he is a big, strong, fast man, and he can catch the ball in the backfield too. Bijan, I think, is just shiftier.
I think Breece Hall is a little bit more sturdy, a little bit more durability. I think his size lends him to maybe being around a little bit longer. I don't know if that means much for this year when they're both as young as they are, but in maybe a dynasty league, might like Brees a little bit more than Bijan.
I don't know, man. I love
I think you could.
I love them both.
I think if my instinct, I want Bijan less than Brees Hall. I actually do. I'm telling you right now, if I'm sitting there and I got to take one of these running backs, Brees Lightning. Brees Lightning. That's the way it is.
Well, at his price, I think Brees is more of a value. I won't argue that with you because you get Brees.
Here's what I'm telling you: you're going to run into that problem at the very same point of the draft, and that point is pick number 6.
They're going at the same price. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So and I'm telling you, if I'm looking both of them in the eye like that, Brees Hall.
Well, I mean, I don't know because I think Raheem Morris has talked a lot this offseason about.
I feel that way, but I feel that way.
The thing is, I think Bijan. I think the edge in the passing game is to Bijan. I think he's a better pass catcher.
I don't because Aaron Rodgers is there, and
you forget that Bijan had I think it was 45 catches and 500 receiving yards last year. People forget that because the Falcons were so bad.
You forget a lot of things about Bijan because Arthur Smith was the one calling the shots, man.
He also Bijan had 500 receiving yards and like 900 rushing yards last year.
Here's the deal.
Everybody forgets that.
I've seen both of them play a little bit in the NFL right now. And of those plays in the NFL, Brees Hall.
I think you get either one of them, you're not mad about it. I mean, it's a first round pick, so but
whichever one you get, you're gonna miss out on the other one. So live by it. There you are.
We're splitting hairs. I think if you're talking about
hairs I want to split. This is what I'm talking about.
Offensive firepower.
On this one.
Offensive firepower to me goes to Falcons. Ability to get touches and run out games at the end of games goes to Jets. So that you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
you know what I'm saying? I think more touchdowns per team in this situation goes to Brees.
Well, here's the thing, though. You have a great defense on the other side of the ball. The Jets, the Falcons do not have that. They're going to have to air the ball out. Bijan's going to be heavily involved in that. Okay, he runs the ball so well, you can mix it up with him on the draw play on the third five.
Good point.
You know what I'm saying? It's all there, dude.
I hear it. I want to change you to a green shirt for this argument right now.
Wow.
It is polarizing.
It is. I like Bijan more, but I'm not mad at you either way. I don't know how you could be.
I mean, you know my stance on it. I've claimed that I might take Bijan with the number 1 overall pick, so I'm real hyped about him. But if I don't get him in Brees Hall's, I might RB1s.
My brain tells me you're a Brees Hall man in this argument, but you did say the thing about Bijan.
I love them both. I am absolutely ecstatic about both.
Hold on.
But I'm putting Bijan with the nod.
Would you? Okay, so you said you would take Bijan number 1 overall.
And I stand by it.
Okay. Say you're number 2. Number 1 takes Bijan. Who you got?
You asking me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what's the hypothetical here?
So Bijan
you are the number 2 overall pick, and Bijan does go number 1. Someone else felt the way you felt. Someone watched your internet.
You want me to give away more of my cards here?
Yeah. Because you said a crazy thing with the number 1 Bijan. I think.
You think so?
I do.
CMC still. CMC
yeah, I would default to the other number 1. The
Which
most
CMC.
people clip. Okay. Yeah, but
because I called you crazy because CMC is 1 and there ain't no talk about it.
To ride this train a little bit longer, maybe.
Go and ride that train.
Fun.
Ride it.
CeeDee Lamb. That'd be so much fun to watch.
Yeah, it would.
CeeDee Lamb is
so much fun to watch.
You know who I might take? Tyreek Hill. So I'm saying just we'll get there, but that's who I might take 1-1.
Okay.
All right, we gotta stop this. We're in the Jets' backfield.
I know.
Is there anybody besides Brees Hall?
To wrap it up, though, those first 5 picks of a draft can be anybody up there because we've already acknowledged if you don't get – how often is the number 1 in the season at number 1? There's often a guy somewhere in the first round that ends up at number 1. And if you don't take him in the first round, you ain't going to get him. So that's my argument for taking Bijan number 1 because I could see him finishing number 1. But
the only one in recent memory that did it was CMC last year. Went 1, finished 1, right? I mean, you know what I mean? At running back.
Yeah.
And he was a big one too. There was a big gap last year. He was
honestly that sort of draft philosophy is what put Amon-Ra on my team in the second round. I remember when I drafted him, it was according to a lot of lists, maybe 6 or 7 spots before he was going, but he wasn't coming back. I was never going to see him again, and I believed that he could possibly be a number one receiver that year. So I'm like, if I don't live on that now, then it is. And I don't know how he ended up finishing, but it was a good thing to take him where I took him. So sometimes you got to believe in it.
He finished as a top 12 wide receiver last year, if I remember right. I don't think he was like in the top. I don't think he was top 5, but he was at least top 10. If I remember right.
But, to tie it back in, if somebody took Breece Hall at the number 1 pick, I would be surprised, but I wouldn't really be mad at it for the same reason I would take Bijan number 1.
Got it. See, and I would be surprised, like I would be surprised if I saw Bijan there.
What I'm happy about for both of those offenses is that they both learned from last year at their quarterback position and added some level of security behind their starter that's aging and injured. Okay. And has an injury. You know, they both come back from injuries, Kirk and Aaron. It's a good comparison. So, you know, you have Michael Penix. Okay. At least you have a first round caliber quarterback that's not Desmond freaking Ritter. Okay.
Ooh, that's a good point.
And then the other point over there on the other side is you have a capable backup in Tyrod Taylor, who is better than anything the Jets threw out there last year. Has shown he's capable of running it off.
I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't know who the backup was, and I thought you were going to tell me that they are just as fucked again if he went down.
Because so was Breece Hall's value. Breece Hall's value drops to, I think, a 3rd round draft pick ish if Aaron Rodgers is not on that team.
Even with Tyrod Taylor?
Without Tyrod, sorry.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, if we're throwing Zach Wilson out there again, it's all fucked. You know, I mean, Mike White was better than him for God's sakes. You know, but and I didn't say much, but you know, Braylon Allen out of Wisconsin, I got to watch him when he was here. He is a big, capable running back. He can also catch the ball. If Breece was to go down, he would be a very hot waiver wire addition because I think he's a capable back. You know, he could easily be an RB2 for you in that offense if Breece goes down. Solid rookie handcuff out there. I think he already has been shown, I think, in minicamp and OTAs, they're already saying he's the number 2. So I think it's pretty clear. And he was not like a top flight running back in the draft, but he was not far off from that. I think maybe 4th round, something like that, 4th, 5th round. You know, he's maybe like the 10th running back off the board, something like that. But played real well for Wisconsin. Anyway, we should probably talk about the wide receivers and keep it moving. Love some Garrett Wilson this year. I think he's being undervalued. I think that's insane. I told you guys the stat the other day. Why
is he being valued less this year compared to last year when it was all Aaron Rodgers? It was all Aaron Rodgers is here. Garrett Wilson hype. Oh my God, here we go. And then we lost him. So, but now it's none of that.
Go ahead.
So what I mean by that is I think people are very excited about Drake London, and I don't hear as much about Garrett Wilson. You know what I mean? And I think Garrett Wilson is a better wide receiver to me. Drake London is also very good, and it's clearly not been showcased yet. If you look at that man's metrics,
I gotta see the Drake London thing.
If you look at his numbers,
it does seem like I'm hearing a lot of hype from different corners of the world about a man who I have not seen produce at the professional level yet. It's like if people had continued on the Kyle Pitts nuts train at this point, I'd be like, really?
And they do.
They do.
And I'm sick of it. He hasn't even had a quarterback that's as good as Zach Wilson throwing him the ball yet. Okay,
and that's the only argument that's valid.
You're right.
You know, like
I don't want to shit on Kyle Pitts' existence, but I gotta see it, man. I'm tired of it.
But let's come back to the Jets. Garrett Wilson.
Yeah. Let's talk about Garrett Wilson.
So this ties into what we were talking about with the running backs. Okay, if you get Bijan, and you can swing back around and get Garrett Wilson,
get out of Atlanta.
Let's go. No, what I'm tying into Garrett. That's what I'm saying, because I love Garrett in the early 2nd round, middle of the 2nd round. If you can get him, maybe you go a top 5 running back and you make Garrett Wilson your wide receiver 1. Like, let's go, dude.
If you get Garrett Wilson in the middle of the 2nd round, I'd be a little surprised. His ADP's got him going right at the turn between the end of the 1 and the beginning of the 2. So it'd be a little bit of a drop, but it's not unforeseeable. Yeah.
If that happened, I mean, I'd be ecstatic. You get Bijan and Garrett to open up, like, let's go, dude. Going to the races. That's not.
Oh yeah, you know, because I mean, Aaron Rodgers, even in a little bit of preseason last year, you could tell they had a bond. Everyone was talking about he loves them. They get along great. He's going to feed him the rock.
Called him he said he loved his 17s, compared him to Devontae Adams. So, that's high praise.
And we all have seen what
Yeah,
Garrett Wilson could do even with a shit quarterback on some of those occasions. So it's exciting.
Exactly. Still crazy amount of targets. Still always open. I mean, do we all forget the catch he made on the horrible throw from Zach Wilson,
At
where
the
he
goal line,
literally
right?
contorted his body, tipped it up in the air to himself, snatched it out of the air, stood up, and just looked at you like, "What's up?" Like, it was fantastic.
Yep.
Like that was a great moment last year in a pitiful season for the Jets. But Garrett Wilson was the lone bright spot on that offense.
How do we feel about Mr. 30-year-old off an ACL injury made of glass, Mike Williams?
Weeks 1 through 4, he gonna light it up.
I like Mike Williams.
Last how long? But you've always liked Mike Williams. I cannot ship that man after the number of seasons he's done what he's done.
I have had him in starting positions when he scores points, and on my bench or off of my team when it goes bad, in in so many of the right spots. I feel like there's a lot of value there. You know what I'm saying? Like, yep. I know he's someone that I don't want to see on my roster for 16 weeks, 13 weeks, since that's how long our season is. But goddamn, it's a huge missed opportunity if you can't utilize it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, here's the argument too.
He's a freak athlete.
He's going to get the number 2 corner on every team, and he's playing in a division that is very weak at the cornerback division. You're talking like the best cornerback in this division, other than Sauce Gardner, who he's not going to play against because it's on his team, is like Christian Gonzalez for the Patriots potentially. Like, the Dolphins don't have anybody at the position anymore. They lost.
It's just sad because they had such a good secondary for like 4 years, and that was before they were good.
Yep, and the Bills are old as hell in the secondary, and Jordan Poyer's not there anymore. Micah Hyde is even still on the team. I don't remember. Trey White has been injured every single year. Kyer Elam is maybe a prospect, but he's not proven. You got a bunch of young corners going against this monstrous house of a man.
I don't think it matters. Second best. He wasn't missing time because he was going against good players. He's missing time because he was getting hurt by anybody because he's made of glass. He's had 2 outlier seasons of stats. So I think he fits in the category of, like Cody said, if you can get lucky enough to start him or just have some knowledge that maybe most people don't and time it right, he can pull off a 30-point week and really win you a week. But he has 2 outlier seasons where he has 9 touchdowns and 1,000 yards. Outside of that, he's averaging about 600 or 700 yards a season with like 5 touchdowns. Those are not good numbers.
Yeah, but all those numbers come in bunches, and so it's not like you have to ever deal with like a low average. You know what I'm saying? And it's if you can have it, like you see the injury report and you know the matchups, like you know the situational matchups. If you're fat at receiver, he doesn't land on your spot. But if you need a dynamite stick because you're either not favored or you got to buy, or you just happen to be light there somewhere, like it's okay taking someone that might give you a fucking goose egg one week if there's a chance they put up fucking 29.
Well, here's the other argument, Jake.
You need them.
The other argument is you don't have to spend anything to get him. He's like going off the board in like the 30s, if not the 40s right now.
Whatever I've seen. Wide receiver 55.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying he's trash. He's like a wide receiver 5 is what I'm saying.
Yeah, so
he's a
guy.
It's like having a safe lottery ticket, if that makes sense. Like, because there's going to be like some lottery things that you take that may never see the field a lot of times because they're rookies or because they're backups or things like that. He's a number 2 receiver with Aaron Rodgers.
That's proven.
Yeah.
He's talented.
Yep.
If he's still
he's a number 2 receiver with Aaron Rodgers. There's gonna be some times when he gets multiple touchdowns in a game for over 130 yards, and you're gonna be like, oh damn, you guys see Mike Williams this week?
I mean, he's going around like guys like, I mean, who's he going around, Jake? Like, give me some names.
He's going around,
and I'll tell you Mike Williams above all of them.
He's going around other trash receivers. Jerry Jeudy, Romeo Doubs,
Mike Williams.
Joshua Palmer, Brian Thomas.
Brian Thomas, Jags, right?
The rookie.
Maybe the third guy.
Mike Williams.
Team, no?
I hear you, but like he's even if like wide receiver 5, he's not making my starting lineup unless I'm super duper thin. So I'm not even.
Yeah.
Or there's a crazy
He's
good
missed
matchup.
18 games over the past 2 seasons, and he's now coming off an ACL and he's a year older. I
Well,
think he's done. I think Mike Williams is done.
here's the thing,
He's
though.
not.
You could roll 4 wide receivers out there this year. You can,
And he'll still
Yeah.
be not in it because again, he's about wide receiver
Crazy.
5 value.
I mean, again, you're not counting on it every week, but like,
No.
talk about having a weapon like in the fucking like toolbox. Are you kidding?
So he's a 12th round pick for you?
Yeah, he might be, but like, I'll get him.
Okay. Well,
I'm gonna get him above all those names.
About a 12th round wide receiver pick, but I hear you.
It's something that I've used a lot, and it's been successful for me.
Right.
And as the winningest person in the history of our
Oh
entire league,
Get out of here.
there's record of it.
I'm going to end this podcast right fucking now.
Nobody's allowing that.
I am.
Shut the computer. We're shutting it.
Those are numbers that we hit.
All right. Can you hear me? I tried to start my video again. Maybe
we
can't see you.
We can hear you the whole time.
You see that bullshit into the pod?
Oh, well, we screwed it up. All right. Well, we're not going to see my face anymore.
All right. Well, we get him back.
What happened?
Can Patrick your black screen? Oh, is he
right.
gone?
No, we're here, dude. We're just trying to get the
He
video
just has a
going.
camera that said no more.
All right, whatever. We're just gonna keep talking without my face until it comes back. So I don't know what happened.
Is there a wide receiver 3 or a tight end on this team that's even worth talking about from a fantasy perspective? I would vote no.
Alan Lazard's the wide receiver 3. I don't want him.
Nope. No, we don't talk about it.
Why are you not doing this, computer? Anyway, whatever. This might just be how it is. The rest of the pod. We'll later.
What do you know about
we can splice videos if you want to kill the whole thing. Come
Corley?
back.
It's all good, dude.
Malaki Corley.
I'm saying that's the third wide receiver that pulls up on the ADP ahead of Lazard.
No, I don't know anything about him. I don't think he had a lot of capital. Like,
there's a fourth receiver being listed ahead of him named Xavier Gibson. Lazard's not on this list.
Gibson was there last year. Gibson was the guy who had that heroic walk-off punt return in overtime. Remember?
Okay. No.
Yep. That was him. That was Gibson. But he was a hero of Hard Knocks. He was beloved by the team in the training camp, and then he came and did that. So, but anyway, tight ends. Who cares? Doesn't matter. Tyler Conklin.
Is that the number one there?
That's the guy. You don't want him. Anyway, let's move on.
He's gonna have a weird. Tyler Conklin's gonna have one of those weird like top 8 tight end years, and I was like, oh yeah, I saw that coming with Aaron Rodgers come back. I'm like, fuck you. No, you didn't.
He could, because
he's gonna Robert Tonyan his way into some fantasy talk this year. It's gonna piss me off.
He very well might, because that's what Rodgers does.
That's what he does.
You know,
and he'll never do it again.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, Conklin had some hype there for half a second in Minnesota before TJ Hawkinson showed up, but that was the end of Tyler Conklin.
He'll be a hot waiver wire pickup for like 1 or 2 weeks after he does what you guys are talking about, and then he'll the next week.
Which will be a mistake, and then somebody like Allen will throw him in at the tight end spot.
Oh, shots fired.
I don't know. He was just the first name that came to mind. Sorry, Allen. Strozen could easily.
The man with no face strikes again.
From the shadows. From the shadows. We're gonna call this one the Shadow Pod, dude. Anyway, let's go to
let's move on to the team that I think is going to win the division, which is the Buffalo Bills.
Wholeheartedly.
Really?
I think there's so many question marks in that team.
What the fuck is this Miami disrespect?
Agree, and I like the Dolphins too, but I'm going with the best quarterback, which to me is not even Aaron Rodgers. It's Josh Allen.
Well, that's true.
I think everyone believes that.
Yeah, he's the QB1, so that's not a big statement.
Nope.
But and I think this is the most questionable year for him as QB1 too, by the way, because there's a lot of question marks on who he's throwing the ball to this year.
People will be saying some things if he's in like MVP caliber conversation when he doesn't have, a listed weapon outside.
And I definitely think he's one of the few guys that could do that.
Yeah.
To me, my QB1 this year is Lamar, honestly. I think
Same.
Josh is second or third with Hurts. And then you got Patty Mahomes.
I don't think Hurts is going to get all them touches this year. No
They
Jason
still have-
Kelsey?
They still got
I think
everybody
Kelsey's
else.
going to play a big role in that.
They still got
Do you
everybody
think
else.
Saquon's going to be playing a big role in those situations?
It's true. Yeah, you could see Hurts fall down to maybe 5th, 6th this year. It's possible.
I really think so. I really think so. The addition of Saquon Barkley and the removal of Jason Kelsey tells me a lot less touchdowns on the ground for Jalen Hurts.
I could see that.
He's also garbage as an actual passer, and we've seen that now.
I don't know, man. That team fell apart.
You can't really brag on an Eagles team that finished the season on like a 1-9 finish or something stupid like that.
I mean, a collapse of Sirianni proportions.
It was not all Jalen Hurts. That whole team fell apart.
Nobody's saying. I'm not saying that. I shouldn't speak for everybody. I know it wasn't all Jalen Hurts, but he took
a big part of it. The big part of it.
And if you're going to blame people, I think it starts with coaches and quarterbacks.
Their defense got boathoused by Sam Howell. That's how bad it got. Okay, like let's get real.
I'm not here to smear Sam Howell. What's going on now?
Sam Howell's terrible.
All right, let's go back. Let's go back to Mr. Allen.
Yeah. But anyway, Josh Allen, he's fine if you want to take him as a QB1. I just think there's way more variance this year because you don't know who's getting the ball. One thing so Josh Allen's going. If you want him, you got to get him in rounds 3 through 5. If you wait till 5, you're not getting him.
Hell no, dog. His ADP is going 16 overall.
Yeah, don't take him.
Which I think is nonsense. I would agree with more of what Patrick said. I don't think you should take any quarterback before the end of the second round.
I hope that nobody does, because all of a sudden that's when people are going to start like getting itchy about Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
And I do not want to have to fucking deal with the emotions of Anthony Richardson getting snaked up at the beginning of the 3rd motherfucking round. You cunts better wait on Josh.
If I'm in front of you, I'm gonna take
because it's Lamar first. Luis.
I hope I'm 11 and you're 12, and I just take him right in front of you. It'd be a beautiful moment. But anyway,
I hope we're 10, 11, and 12 in the draft. We just get the pod antics of every turn.
I hope I'm not on the end of that trend. That's all I'm saying. But anyway.
I mean, you would technically
be on the end. You'd be on the beginning.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
Dumb bitch.
No, shut up. We're doing linear this year. You know what I meant.
Anyway, doesn't know how a snake draft works, apparently. That's probably his problem.
Or cameras online.
Oh, man. Where are you, Patrick?
The Shadow Realm.
I'm in the Shadow Realm, dude. In the Shadow Realm. Speaking to you from the inner workings of your own mind. Anyway.
That was beautiful. I hate it.
So what we're doing here, let's talk James Cook, because he is intriguing to me. I think he's going to get more work this year because he has to. Okay? There's so many touches. I mean, you're talking hundreds of targets gone from this offense between Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. And I don't think that's all going to fall upon Keon Coleman.
Hundreds. 20 of those were Gabe Davis.
Yeah. No, Gabe Davis had about 80, and then you got Diggs up there with like a 130, So
fuck you being real with my fucking humor, you piece of shit.
I'm in your mind. I'm your logical side. Anyway.
Who do they even have backing him up? He's like the only guy, right?
They have who is behind him? On
the depth chart, it's Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, and Darrington Evans.
Oh, yeah. Ray Davis. There's some hype on Ray Davis. Good college career. He will be the number 2 there. He would be another guy.
Do you remember?
I do not remember where he's out of. But there's been some hype this offseason. People have been talking about him. I don't know him as well as I know some of the other guys. But I have heard his name mentioned on Fantasy Pros.
Fourth round pick out of Kentucky.
Cody's just staring at the camera.
What?
Yeah, that nothing. Anyway,
it's giving you my attention.
You just had this weird look on your face. But anyway, out of Kentucky. You've seen other good running backs come out of Kentucky before. There's one that I can think of. I can't remember his name, but in the last 5 years, who was it? I don't remember. Anyway, moving on. But clearly going to be. I mean, so James Cook goes down. Going to be a hot waiver wire addition. Got young legs. Could be a guy. But if James Cook gets the type of play that he had last year, because let's just forget James Cook had some weeks, one of which where he absolutely buried your Cowboys. If we can remember that for one moment, that was fun.
And camera doesn't work. Shut
up. But anyway, great pass catcher, shifty, brother of Dalvin Cook. The lineage is there. I like him. Wanted him last year very badly. Couldn't get him, so I got him in my dynasty league to console myself. But anyway, I think he's a solid first running back. If you go heavy wide receiver at the beginning, because he's going like RB12. Yeah,
RB12. Okay, you heard it here.
No.
How do you feel about anything else to say about James Cook, or how do you feel about the wide receivers?
I love
James
Cook.
The wide receiver
the biggest question
is the thing that I want to talk about the most to learn, because I have no idea what's going on, and I'm kind of hoping Patrick has some information for me.
Oh yeah,
that I can use to my fantasy.
Here, let me enlighten you all on the Buffalo wide receiver situation.
Please do, because I know not a goddamn thing.
If Josh Allen finishes as a top 5 quarterback, there's going to be a potential league-winning wide receiver in this room. Now, my guess would be that that's going to be Keon Coleman. Okay, my guess is that's going to be Keon Coleman. He's going around wide receiver like 40 right now. You're talking about the QB1. Okay, one of them wide receivers is going to be in the top 20. It has to be. There's no chance that
math otherwise.
Exactly.
They are currently going ADP, the 3 of them: Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, and Khalil Shakir, going at wide receiver 47, wide receiver 51, and wide receiver 54. Yes. So nobody knows.
The other one,
nobody knows.
I like Curtis Samuel in this offense too, because of the fact that I don't remember who on the offensive side of the ball for the Bills has a connection with him from when he was at the Panthers. But one of the coaches from the Panthers, when Curtis Samuel was with the Panthers back in the day, was there and is now in Buffalo, knows how to use Curtis Samuel, knows what he can do. And I think Josh Allen's going to take full advantage of that, especially in the short yardage game.
I think he's a good wide receiver.
I think he's a good wide receiver too. Yeah. He reminds me of Randall Cobb in a way.
Yeah, because Curtis Samuel was with the Panthers, right? Then he went to the Commanders, and then now he's with Buffalo, if I recall correctly. I'm almost positive of that.
I don't know about when you started talking Panther stuff. I started racking my brain. I'm like, was he there before Washington? And then I was like, positive. Did he exist before Washington? I don't know.
He did, because that's where he.
How old is that man?
He's been in the league since 17. Carolina for 4 years. Washington since.
Yeah. So one of his coaches, either the wide receiver coach for the Bills now, or potentially even the offensive coordinator, was with him in Carolina. And that's the reason why he's in Buffalo. Because that man spoke on his behalf.
Okay. All right. I don't know, man.
I want Keon Coleman. That's what I want in this offense, because he was basically a first-round pick, right? They went back a spot, and then they got Keon Coleman. He was the 33rd pick. So he's the first-round pick. You know what I mean? So
he's not, technically.
He's not, but you know what I mean. You know, he's as close as it gets, literally. So
he's going to be the big target too, because he's 6'3". You got Curtis Samuel coming in a little. He's one of them shorter guys, isn't he? 5'8", 5'9", 5'10".
Yes. Khalil Shakir is not small, but he's going to be the other outside. So you're going to have Keon and Khalil on the outside, and you're going to have Curtis in the slot. That's going to be the 3 wide receiver set. Right? So Keon was, if you remember, Florida State, I believe, went undefeated last year. Keon Coleman was the wide receiver 1 down there. Okay. Man caught a lot of touchdowns, great in the contested catch, not fast. Okay. But has great hands. He's big. And go watch some clips of Keon Coleman and his attitude and the personality that he is. That's the type of wide receiver 1 you want on your team. Go listen to him. Yeah.
Is he real nasty?
It's fantastic, dude. He's so funny. He's great, man. He's got all the confidence in the world. He's hilarious.
I'm going to go listen to that. That's what I want in a wide receiver so much.
Give me more personalities. Let's go.
Yeah. I want you to be T.O. in the NFL. First time. I love that shit now that I'm older, and I was told as a child that I didn't like that. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll listen to these adults. And they were wrong. They were wrong the whole time. They want role models. I'm like, these are gladiators. These are
role models too, but like
Exactly.
I like having both. You gotta have your heroes and your devils and your angels.
I absolutely agree. If everyone's a fucking choir boy, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah, you gotta have both, man. But you have to, so Keon, though, one of my favorite clips of him in the offseason. They brought him out to the Bills field after the press days, after the draft. First thing he did, jogs onto the field, and then he looks back at the camera, and then he starts running down the sideline. Yeah, Coleman for 6. He's running down, doing the airplane, dude. You gotta love it, man. He's awesome. It's fantastic.
There's gonna be opportunities created just by a lack of Stephon Diggs. You said it yourself.
Yep.
Somebody's gonna emerge if that offense does Josh Allen things. So
now, Keon Coleman is the wide receiver 2 in this offense. You want to know why, though? Because the wide receiver 1 is a man named Dalton Kincaid. That is the one. He's the wide receiver 1 in this offense. He just happens to play tight end.
That's good.
Yep.
I like that. Red tight ends. Let's go.
Yeah, man.
Where's his value at for you?
Tight end 5. He's the one I want because you can get him after the run happens, and he is just as good as the top 4 to me this year.
He's equal playing field with Mark Andrews.
Absolutely, because of the opportunity and because of the way they used him last year. I watched him last year. He's every bit as good as the top 5 tight ends in the league. Great hands, great route running, great field awareness. Has the connection with Josh Allen. Let's go, Dalton Kincaid. I've been taking him all summer long in best ball. We love some Dalton Kincaid.
Okay.
So we think the Bills' offense is going to look a little bit different, a little more internal. A little bit more halfback and tight end heavy.
Yep. I think so. And then you're going to get, I think Keon, realistically, if I was a betting man, I think you're going to see Dalton Kincaid finish in the top 5. I am a betting man. We all know this. I think you're going to see Dalton Kincaid finish in the top 5 of tight ends. I think you're going to see Keon Coleman be a solid wide receiver 2. And I think you're going to see James Cook finish right outside of RB1 status. That's what I think.
And where do you think Curtis Samuel finishes?
I think he is going to flirt with wide receiver 2 some weeks when he has a big week, when he catches a touchdown. Typically going to be in like the 30 to 36 range, though. Okay. So I think he's going to be.
All right. Then. And they're going where altogether?
They're all going way later than that, so they're all values.
Wilson, some of the receivers?
Yeah.
Wide receiver, so about overall 112, 129, 133. Curtis Samuel almost back-to-back. Keon about 15 picks ahead. Only 4 wide receiver picks ahead.
Interesting.
The only problem I could foresee with Keon Coleman is if he struggles with drops as a rookie. That's the only if you have the downside for him.
If you get Quentin Johnston.
Yep. That could happen, because he's a rookie. So, but I think he's more talent. He's very similar to Quentin Johnston, honestly. They're similar type players. I think Keon's a bit more talented, but I mean, Quentin Johnston lit the world on fire at TCU, so I don't know, man. You're splitting hairs there. But I think Keon is a little bit better of a contested catch wide receiver than Quentin Johnston was coming out of college, but they're close. But anyhow, should we talk about Cody's favorite team, the Miami Dolphins?
I think we should, because we know they're not coming in last, right?
No, that's a clear New England.
That's clear New England.
Yeah, might be the worst team in the league this year again. They really might be.
We made it. We made it. The Patriots suck again.
They suck again. They suck real bad.
We made it, boys.
Neil. Sorry, Neil.
Not.
Oh, it's funny.
So I'll mention these guys on the roster changes because they're not relevant, so I'll do it first. But Jordan Poyer coming from Buffalo to this team, huge move. And then arguably the best draft name for me, Chop Robinson.
Yeah, let's go Chop.
Let's go Chop Robinson.
It's going to be fun.
Solid 3-4 pass rusher. Not going to be very effective in the run game, though, because he's small. He's going to get eaten up out there.
Oh, no. He'll be on third down?
Yeah, that's what he's going to play. But their defense is still going to be bad, guys. They don't have anything. They lost Christian Wilkins, their best defensive player.
It's okay because they're going to put up 30 a week.
Well, that's the argument.
A week.
So
Chop Robinson's going to be going after quarterbacks, yo. You ain't going to be running the ball on Miami fucking all day because you can't
You can't.
afford to.
They're going to be putting up 30 a game every week. Yeah, it's going to be a fun offense.
You're going to want to see that game every week.
It's a really fun offense for a quarterback that's probably not even in QB1 territory, or if he is, it's fringe.
So this is a very interesting stat about Tua last year. Did you know Tua led the league in passing yards last year? Did not finish as a QB1. How crazy is that? Led the league. Yeah.
Because of it. QB what?
15. 15. Oh. Was not a no, he was
QB. Not 15. A QB1. I thought you were saying not the QB1.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't even in the top 12. Wasn't even in the top 12.
Same.
Damn.
Yeah,
that's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. Well, that's just because of touchdowns, right?
Touchdowns,
probably turnovers as well.
Yep, he threw some picks. Remember last year, they would light the world on fire when you were bad, and if you were good, they could not win a game. That was the Miami Dolphins last year.
Yep.
So, you know,
I wouldn't mind having two on my team, especially if I've got that Tyreek stack, because
when they go nuclear, it's going to be big.
Yeah. Yep. That's playoff dominating football if they're hot.
Yep. You just better hope he's got it at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And the argument in Tua's camp,
first or last.
The argument for Tua is that one, you can get him late because he's QB 15, and that man's playing for his money this year. He has not been paid yet.
Yeah, it's true.
Tua, I'm looking at his stat sheet to see what it was that dragged him down so much. So his rookie season, he fumbled 0 times. 2021, 3 times. 2022, 2 times. Last year, he fumbled 13 times.
Wow, there you go.
On top of 14 interceptions.
Does that just count fumbles lost?
No,
or is that just actual fumbles?
He lost 5 of them, but he put that ball on the ground 13 times. And
do
you really think he'd do that again?
Interceptions. I don't know, man, but that's an outlier that demands some attention, I think.
It does. It does for sure. I think some of that could potentially be attributable to the fact of the way that they run their offense. There's a lot of pitches involved there. There's a lot of movement of the ball in the backfield. You know what I mean? It's an intricate offense that often leads to a lot of points, but could, lead to the odd mistake here and there. If you watch the way they played ball last year. I don't really want to it unless, like Cody said, I got Mr. Waddle or I got Tyreek Hill on my team. That's the only way I'm taking to it. Right?
Yep. It creates a potential that he doesn't have on his own.
Exactly. I would be looking.
And if you have two on his own, what are you doing? You're just ruining it for somebody else.
Do you remember the game he had? Was it last year though, when he had that monster game about midway through the season? Didn't he have like a 40-point game or something he put up?
Like 405 touchdowns. There was something like that. Yeah.
One wild game.
Because here's the other thing. The other part that affected Tua last year is the fact that Raheem Mostert had an insane amount of touchdowns in the red zone. Insane amount of touchdowns.
An amount that will not be replicated.
Probably not. You know what I mean? And so if it swings back, even 5 more of those touchdowns go his way, that makes a big difference in where he finishes.
It does.
So
I think a regression to the average in a scenario like that, plus those fumbles, I feel like you can get Tua at some value that other people aren't seeing.
I think his ceiling to me is like QB 10 because he's not a big runner, but he could slide into the quarterback.
You think that's his ceiling?
I think so.
I think his ceiling is a little closer to QB 6 if they have just an all-time offense, and they have. Here's the deal: it's because there's a chance that he is the quarterback for a historic all-time offense. You know what I'm saying?
Could be, but I mean, there's a whole season of tape now on Mike McDaniels too. You know what I mean? Like they've been studying.
But how much tape do you need on Tyreek Hill? You can't stop him.
That's true. And Jalen Waddle is
going
to be healthy to start this year, and he was not last year. And Jalen Waddle still finished 1,000 yards last year.
And they have 2 of the top 4 fastest running backs in the league as their 1-2.
1, 2, and 3 now.
Yeah, but there's the law of diminishing returns, though. You got too many weapons, and it curbs your quarterback value, especially if they're halfbacks, because you don't get points for those.
I hear you. I'm just saying, as far as we're talking, there's a chance for a historic all-time offense. The quarterback on that offense is going to have fantasy value, and not a little bit. I think saying he has a ceiling of 10 doesn't take that into account. I think it's not likely that he is a top 4 quarterback, but it's not a zero chance because of the offense that's around him.
Okay.
He's the point guard for that.
I'll give you QB 8. I don't think he can go higher than that.
I would agree with 8.
Ball.
That's the number that was in my head. Only looking at the other bodies on the list, because if you put him at 6, you're putting him ahead of Dak Prescott kind of vibes, and I don't think that he's going to have that kind of season.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Could
though.
Okay.
Could though.
He could. I don't.
Led the league in passing yards last year, didn't he?
I think that Dak Prescott, they're gonna have to have Dak Prescott. I think with the Dolphins, you got enough guys that plug and play. Put somebody else in there, and they're gonna have a pretty solid floor. But I don't think they're gonna have top 5 numbers. I don't think Tua is elite enough to be different.
Yeah, who should have gone there? Kirk Cousins.
Oh yeah, accuracy, 4th most accurate quarterback.
Kirk Cousins' personality with Tyreek Hills would have been a fun dynamic to watch.
Yeah,
I don't know. He handled Justin Jefferson all right.
I don't know if he'd have got along that well with the head coach though.
I think as long as that's true. Yeah, Tua and Mike seem to get along pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, let's talk about the running backs because God, that's a fun room to
They're
talk
exciting.
about. Now,
a lot of fun rooms to talk about in Miami. Then we're talking about him third. It's fucking stupid.
They're all fun except for tight end, to be honest. But Devon Achane, not interested in him at his price tag. People still
because
Mostert's still there.
He's the RB1.
He didn't do anything to lose his status last year. All he did was run for maybe the league leading touchdowns and a shit ton of yards. Like
it was the league leading touchdowns. It was like 21.
Yeah, man. So like he's not getting yanked out of that position. Like you're gonna give Devon Achane maybe 3 to 5 more touches a game because of what he showed.
And those will be awesome touches.
They will. They're gonna be great. But the
best touches.
The best touches.
Dude, if he only gets 15 touches a week, okay, what happens when he's not effective? He's not going to do anything for you. That's not enough.
I don't know, man. Like, Mostert had more yards than him last year. I know there was like injuries and stuff tied into that as well. But you look at their averages. Mostert averaged 4.8 yards on 200 carries, which is a great number. Devon Achane averaged 7.8 on 100 carries.
Small sample size. If he gets more touches,
that's a pretty classic. That's a pretty classic RB1, RB2 split, though.
Sure. I mean, on the higher end of both, though.
Yeah.
4.8 is a great average, and a 7.8 is incredible.
Phenomenal.
And to do it over 100 carries is electrifying.
It's true. Well, because of the Denver game.
Hey,
that's true.
You know what I mean? Like,
but there was the Denver game.
Yeah, it's true. 20% of Devon Achane's carries came in a game. They scored 70 points.
Murderous. That was the week.
Not wrong.
That was the week where the millionaire lineup had Raheem. It had both the running backs. Tyreek Hill was in there, and Tua was in there that week. And they just played all Dolphins, and they won $1 million that week because of what they did. They outscored. There were stats that week that showed their points on DraftKings, and they outscored They outscored everybody in our league that week, just those 4 guys against full starting lineups.
he racked up 200 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and then 2 receiving touchdowns that game. But I'm looking at that game and the 2 games following. He averaged 11.3, 12.6, and 13.7 yards a carry in those 3 consecutive games. So it wasn't all Denver.
That's wild.
He's electric, man. He's on my dynasty team.
Woogie.
The problem is he's going RB like 6-7, man. It's
too high.
It's too much.
It is too high.
Yeah,
it is.
Too much. How do you feel about RB9? Because that's where he's at on the Fantasy Pros list. Is that still too high for you?
Yeah, man. I want him at like RB14. That's where I want him.
How does that translate into overall pick?
21 towards the end of the second round.
It's a little too high because he's got the RB1 on his team.
Devon Achane or Derrick Henry?
Derrick
Henry all day.
Devon Achane or Josh Jacobs?
Okay, hold on a second about Derrick Henry.
I hate it, but
those 3 guys are back to back.
Hold on a second about Derrick
Henry. I hate it because I like Achane more.
Okay.
Hold on a second about Derrick Henry. The one thing that we all forgot to mention when we were talking about Derrick Henry, their offensive line got way worse, guys, and we overlooked it. They lost both their tackles and their starting guard. That offensive line is going to be in flux. Now, you're going to guess that a great organization is going to put it together. But if they got a terrible offensive line, it might not be as great as we think.
When's the last time Baltimore had a terrible offensive line?
Well, we haven't seen it in a while because all those guys have been there for a while, but they're gone now.
All right, noted.
You know, but
Yeah,
anyway,
we're out on that.
just saying.
Not here for that.
Good note.
Now, if you want to talk about who's more interesting to me, it's Raheem Mostert, who's going like running back 20-something. Want him all day. Let's go.
I think he's going to finish with more fantasy points than Devon Achane. And if not, I think they're going to be evens. And they're not getting drafted that way.
There's way less risk.
Yeah.
You could flub on Raheem Mostert and still win a championship. You flub on Achane, you have a hard time doing that.
Yeah, because you can get Mostert. You can get Mostert in the 6th or 7th round.
Exactly. Yeah. That's my point exactly.
The champions in our league would say Mostert. Even Mostert, the potential, like almost never quite won it champions would say Mostert.
Whatever, dude. Anyway, Jalen Wright. By the way,
I can't see him. I don't know if it hurt.
I can hear him. It hurt.
Shrugged it off. Anyway, I'm going to talk all the shit when we get one, boys. Anyway,
pooped his pants again.
Jalen Wright. Great dart throw. Way late in drafts. If nobody's hurt by week 5, just dump him and then move on. But on the off chance that one of these fragile running backs in Miami gets hurt, Jalen Wright has 4.4 speed.
Yep.
Oof. Yeah. Blazing fast.
Yeah.
They love their speed in Miami.
4.38 at the combine officially.
Exactly. Yeah. So HN ran a 4.32, so that's not a big difference.
He's the second fastest 40-yard time at the combine and the number 1 broad jump. Man's got some hops.
Athlete.
Whoa.
And now the difference there is that HN, on top of that speed, also has amazing contact balance. The man can bounce off arm tackles and get down the sideline. That's what made him great last year. So I don't know that Jalen Wright's that same guy, but he's definitely got the same speed. So, something interesting to keep your eyes on. But let's talk about the wide receivers.
Yep.
Cody loves Tyreek. It's already been said this whole offseason.
Who doesn't love Tyreek?
First overall, if he goes, I'm not batting an eye at whoever did it.
No, because the man is money. He just was averaging like 30 points a week for like 5 weeks to start last
year. There was a point before a little bit of missed time that people were like, he's gonna be the first one in 2000.
Exactly what I was gonna say. He almost beat Megatron's record. When you're there to beat
and he
Megatron
missed
record,
time.
I know. Listen, I'm just gonna read every week through the first 10 weeks, just the yards, just the receiving yards.
Just the yards.
215, 40, 157, 58, but then 181, 163, 112, 146, 102, 157.
He tied the record for most games with 150 yards, I think, or was that Justin Jefferson who did that? One of them did that.
I don't remember. Out of 17 games, he put up at least 1 touchdown in 12 of them.
Oh.
He was the reason why I didn't win the championship last year because he got hurt at the end of the year.
1,800 receiving yards and 13 receiving touchdowns.
My God.
He was a monster.
Yeah, he is. Gotta have him.
Got to have him, but if you can't, settling for Waddle is not a big loss because I think Waddle is due for a big year if he stays healthy too.
I mean, he'll have a good year, but yeah, it's Tyreek Hill is my first round draft pick.
Tyreek Hill locked in, firm, top end wide receiver 1. Jalen Waddle probably locked in wide receiver 2.
Could be a wide receiver 1 as well. He could get up to wide receiver 12.
He has that ceiling.
He could Brandon Ayuk you.
He does. I mean? Yeah.
So
I don't think he will, but could.
He's very talented. I love Jalen Waddle. I think he's great.
Where do you think Jalen Waddle goes?
He's like the wide receiver 15 right now, I think.
20 on my list, 36
20.
overall.
Okay.
36 overall.
Love him in the 3rd round.
I also love him in the 3rd round.
He's a 1,000-yard receiver last year. I mean, just barely, but
with all the missed time though. It says, I mean, you look at again. I look at PFF numbers to kind of see how guys are running their routes, how they're getting open, average depth of target, yards per route, like shit like that, right? That's how you tell guys that even though they didn't finish as a wide receiver 1, that they're good, right? Jalen Waddle was masterful in all of that. So, I mean, that tells me you want some Jalen Waddle. And if things swing the other way even a little bit, and a little bit comes off of Tyreek Hill, you're going to love that you got Jalen Waddle in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
So
You're absolutely right.
Also, they added OBJ as their third wide receiver, so you can have
Oh,
those
okay.
three boys on the field at the same time.
They did, but he's not coming anywhere near my team.
No,
Nope.
no, you don't want him. If one
Nah.
of them gets hurt, and OBJ is wildly healthy for a
Yeah.
full year, maybe.
That's true.
He's on my team if we have 20 rounds in our draft.
He could be a hot waiver wire addition if he is
Yeah.
actually healthy and one of the big guys goes down.
Yep. A nice little slide in from a waiver wire perspective. Like who's sitting on top of the turn when Jalen Waddle tweaks an ankle.
Yeah, he's still OBJ. He's just old now and he can't stay healthy, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
he's trash. He didn't put up more than
trash.
He didn't put up more than 50 yards in more than 2 games last season.
He didn't get on the field.
Yeah,
exactly. Why didn't he get on the field? Because he's bad.
It's a good
he's
point.
Bad.
He's not bad. He's old. He's old.
For what we're talking about in this podcast, the man.
We covered it. Look, if there's an injury, you want to slide him in. That does. He bad. He exists where he exists.
Well, then we disagree. I think he's bad.
He's a
so
Hail Mary
Jalen Waddle
throw
goes
off the
down.
waiver.
You don't want to call OBJ and put up in your flex.
I'll peek at it for a week.
No,
you don't. You really don't.
I'll peek at it.
I think there'll be somebody else that emerges by then, out of nowhere.
All right. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Doesn't know what talent looks like.
I'll peek at it through the bushes.
Wow, I mean, heard it here first. Cody's all over Beckham's nuts.
Yeah,
done anything.
Cody.
Why is it got to be Beckham's nuts and not Jake's bad at this? Huh? Why is it like that?
Well, flip that argument and ask the question back at you. See how it's a circle?
Terrible.
Anyway, you don't want any of the tight ends down there. They don't throw the tight ends. Moving on.
Nope.
Let's talk about maybe 1 or 2 guys for New England that are relevant. They're not anybody. Yeah. New England's going to be bad. Don't draft Drake May. You don't want him. Ramondre, maybe. If you can get him in like the 7th, 8th round.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, he's got about the same amount of usefulness as a Najee Harris right now.
I think Najee's better.
Which is, not nothing.
It's not nothing.
If you can get it late enough, hell yeah.
Great as your 3rd or 4th running back.
Yeah.
Ramondre.
Better than 4th, 3rd.
His ADP is going RB2, but running back 18.
Not taking him there.
Absolutely not.
I've been hearing some hype, like that
smells like New England.
The 3-headed podcast, the fantasy footballers.
God, who took a New England in here?
It just, the footballers can say what they want. I don't believe it. They're not going to be good. They're not going to move the ball. They added some talent in the wide receiver room, but they just have a bunch of guys, man. You
just have a bunch of guys.
None of them that I'm excited about. I mean, we talk about Ramondre. If Ramondre falls because everybody else in the draft thinks like we do, then maybe I'll take him. But, Jalen Warren, Najee Harris, Zamir White would take all of them before Ramondre because of the situations, Yeah,
and this team was so incredibly bad last year. Like, it's the new Jets moniker, right? Like, the Jets tag scaring some people off. It should be the New England tag that really strikes fear into your heart if you're thinking about drafting anybody on this team.
Is this – because it feels like old news now, but, like, is this the first year without Bill Belichick now?
It is. It is. First year.
I don't –
And
I don't think they're going to be better.
They finally started drafting offensive players. So maybe not better, but it'll feel different.
They drafted a lot of wide receivers. If you were to take a dart throw really late in the draft and prey upon the fantasy gods' benevolence that New England has something in the passing game whatsoever, maybe you can take a flyer on Jalen Polk or Javon Baker as rookies. Jalen Polk was part of the 3-headed monster out there with Rome Odunze and Jalen McMillan in Washington. He was the second one there. It was Rome Odunze, then Jalen Polk, then Jalen McMillan. So he's part of that. He's talented.
Yeah.
Javon Baker had a crazy good year for Central Florida. And is a big guy, 6'2", 205. Could be a good player. There's been some hype about him. But if you're going to take him, it's the last pick in the draft. and then maybe see if he's got some juice. Because you got to remember, they still got Juju there. They still got Demario Douglas there, who
They
did
have a ton of
few
room.
things.
They brought in 4 wide receivers.
You know,
2 in
there's
the
so many
draft,
guys.
2 in free agency.
There's so many guys.
Hmm.
I
I don't want to be anywhere near this offense that isn't named Ramondre Stevenson, and that is so late.
The ceiling for the best wide receiver in New England is like wide receiver 32. Like, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like,
I know we got to do our due diligence here, but like I'm disassociating thinking about this team's offense. I can't help it.
Drake May's got to do it for 6 weeks straight and show me he can put up 250 and 2 for me to even look at it. You know? And that did not happen. So
that ain't not happening.
Yeah,
Not
it ain't not happening, dude.
Mm-mm.
Maybe New England
Nope.
does in New England because they have a former linebacker as the head coach and they got a good defense. So maybe
They
need
need to change their logo, their uniforms, and their team colors completely. It is a new era, and I don't even want to look at it.
They need something to differentiate it from it because otherwise it's just going to feel like a letdown. You have to sever ties with the former era, or you're just going to be compared to it the whole time.
And almost like maybe just do like a new age minimalism version of your current setup and do it just for like 3 years and suck the whole time, and then do a new one again that's like really cool and bold and like make it a new era then, because it's just so bad there. I don't want to think about it. I am asleep now.
It's a minimum of this year and next year of Drake May proving that he actually could play in this league for them to actually be relevant again. You got 3 years.
This team's going to be so bad. They're Vegas odds to win the Super Bowl. There's only one team that has worse odds, and it's the Carolina Panthers. And the Patriots are next.
Carolina Panthers are better than them, if you ask me. They have more talent on that squad.
Man, that is an argument that I can't stand to think about.
That's a dumpster fire argument.
Yeah, it is.
There's more guys in Carolina I'm excited about. Jonathan Brooks, when he comes, if he's healthy off his ACL, you watch him at college. He was.
I do think Drake May is better than Bryce Young.
I don't know about that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I do think that. I think Bryce Young is fucking trash.
I don't know, man. We have not seen him in a competent offense, so you can't say that, dude.
I think Bryce Young is worse than Mac Jones.
Nah, absolutely not.
That's not something I'm hanging my hat on.
No.
I have said it, and here we are.
I think that's outrageous. But anyway, no tight ends. I guess if you had to slide in a Hunter Henry, because Hunter Henry will wildly do a 2-touchdown week every now and then.
He will.
You know?
But it's a desperation play and nothing else.
Yep.
Yeah. But if you're in that window of tight end play, then he's one of those waiver wire picks that like, oh, look at that.
He'll be something we talk about on a Tuesday episode one week, and then
he's a Pat Fryer.
They're all Tuesday episodes.
Yeah, he's a Pat Fryermuth type guy to me. They're right about there, you know. But yeah, man. From the depths of your brains, speaking to you through the ether.
Dude, let's get out of here because I cannot fucking stomach New England any longer.
Yeah. Next week we're into the NFC, boys. Do we want to start it with?
We're halfway there. My God,
there. We're only about a month out, man.
We're 2 months out.
We're a month and a half, dude. Draft day is August 25th, and we're a week away from college football.
I was thinking of week 1 NFL, not our draft. My biche.
College football, the video game, a week from now. Get your pre-orders. If you don't, we're gonna
don't pre-order. Don't pre-order. It's a download. It's a digital download. Don't pre-order games, people. Don't give away your money before you know the product's good. Don't do it. It doesn't save you any time like it used to. It's not. Good. There's no shipping involved.
It's good.
Don't do that.
Product is good. Stamping it. It's great.
Probably good. It's probably good. But you don't need to pre-order it.
You're gonna buy it before you know it's good either way.
Damn right. Yeah.
Don't pre-order. Buy as soon as it's available.
I'm gonna pre-order for the Ultimate.
Unless you want the benefits that they sometimes give you, then do it.
Ultimate Team.
Yeah, there's Ultimate Team coins. That's fair. I don't play that stuff. I don't believe in it. I am what you would call a purist.
That's not what I call it.